4 Toyota RAV4S. Same lot, same color, same mileage. They look identical. One will run for 300,000 miles. The others will cost you thousands in repairs you never saw coming. The dealer will never tell you which is which. I will. Let us get into it. The second generation RAV4 launched in 2006, and on paper, it looked like everything Toyota promised. More interior space, a proper V6 option for buyers who wanted real power, and a redesign that finally made the RAV4 feel like a genuine SUV rather than a tall hatchback. The market responded exactly the way Toyota hoped. Sales were strong, reviews were positive. Buyers felt good about their decision. Here is what nobody at the dealership was going to tell them. The V6 engine in the 2006 RAV4 developed a well-documented and serious oil consumption problem. Not a minor seep. Not something you top off once a month and forget about. Owners were burning through a full quart of oil every 1,000 miles or less. To put that in context, a healthy engine might consume that much oil over 5,000 to 7,000 miles. The 2006 V6 was going through it 5 to 7 times faster than that. The danger with this kind of problem is that it is invisible until it is not. The engine runs fine. The car feels normal. And then one day, the oil level drops low enough that the damage is already done. Accelerated wear on bearings, cylinder walls, and piston rings. And if it goes far enough without intervention, you are looking at a full engine replacement. At a dealership, that bill lands between $4,000 and $7,000. At an independent shop, you might get it done for less, but you are still writing a check for thousands of dollars on a car you thought was reliable. Toyota eventually extended warranties on some affected vehicles, but that acknowledgement came years after the damage had already hit thousands of owners' wallets. The owners who got reimbursed were the lucky ones who fought for it. Most people just paid. If you are looking at a 2006 RAV4 with a V6, do not take the seller's word for anything. Get a compression test done by an independent mechanic before you sign anything. Check the oil condition yourself. Look for blue smoke on a cold start. If the seller resists any of that, walk away and do not look back. If the 2006 taught Toyota a lesson about the V6 oil consumption problem, the 2007 suggests they did not learn it fast enough. The same issue carried over into the new model year without a meaningful engineering fix, which means any 2007 RAV4 with the V6 comes with the same risk baked in from the factory. But the 2007 did not stop there. It added a second major problem on top of the first one. The 4-speed automatic transmission on certain 2007 models began showing serious issues once vehicles accumulated real-world mileage. Owners started reporting hard, jarring shifts between gears, hesitation when accelerating from a stop. In the worst cases, the transmission simply failed before the vehicle hit 120,000 miles, which for a Toyota SUV is nowhere close to the end of its expected life. A Toyota should be just getting started at 120,000 miles. The 2007's transmission sometimes had other ideas. The cost of dealing with this is not trivial. A transmission replacement at a Toyota dealership runs between $3,500 and $5,500 depending on your market. At a reputable independent shop, you might bring that down to $2,000 to $3,500, but that is still a significant unplanned expense on a vehicle most people bought expecting Toyota-level durability. What makes the 2007 especially worth avoiding is the combination: oil consumption from the engine and transmission failure risk. Two major mechanical systems with documented failure patterns in the same model year is not bad luck. It is a pattern. Consumer Reports put the 2007 on multiple worst year lists during this period, and owner forums from that era are filled with people comparing repair bills and asking each other why Toyota was not doing more. The answer, as it usually is that they had already sold the car. The 2008 is cleaner. The 2009 is better still. The 2007 is the year you drive past. Every time Toyota launches a new generation of the RAV4, the first model year carries extra risk. This is not unique to Toyota. It is how automotive manufacturing works. Engineers solve the problems they can anticipate in the lab. The problems they cannot anticipate show up 6 months after 1 million real people start driving the car in real conditions. The 2013 RAV4 is the clearest example of that pattern in the vehicle's entire history. Toyota made a significant decision with the 2013. They dropped the V6 entirely. Every trim, every configuration, now ran on the 2.5-liter four-cylinder. The official reason was efficiency. The real-world reaction from buyers who had expected more power was not warm. But underpowered was not actually the biggest complaint that started piling up in owner databases. The infotainment system in the 2013 base and mid-level trims became one of the most criticized features Toyota put in a vehicle during this era. Unresponsive to touch inputs, laggy when switching between functions, prone to freezing mid-use and requiring a full restart. In a vehicle you are spending $25,000 or more on, having the center screen behave like a budget tablet from 2009 is not a minor inconvenience. It is a daily frustration that owners reported never fully going away, because Toyota's fix for a software problem in a 2013 vehicle was limited by what the hardware could actually handle. And then there was the paint. Specific color variants on the 2013 developed clear coat peeling earlier than any RAV4 had any right to show. Not after a decade of sun and weather. Within the first few years of ownership. For a vehicle in this price range, paint that fails that quickly is a quality control signal, not just a cosmetic one. The 2014 addressed most of these issues. Toyota learned quickly and responded. But the 2013 is the year that absorbed all the first production problems, so the 2014 could be better. Do not be the owner who paid for that lesson. Let someone else own the 2013 and buy the year that benefited from what Toyota fixed. The fourth generation RAV4 arrived in 2019 with more press coverage, more fanfare, and more genuine excitement than the model had generated in years. Toyota had done a full redesign. New platform, new engine family, new exterior styling that finally gave the RAV4 some visual presence instead of looking like every other crossover on the road. Sales records were broken. Reviews were enthusiastic. It looked like Toyota had hit it out of the park. Then the recall notices started arriving. The 2019 RAV4 was subject to multiple NHTSA safety recalls, and the most serious of them was not a minor fix. The fuel pump on affected vehicles could fail without warning, causing the engine to stall completely while the vehicle was in motion. On a surface street at 30 miles per hour, that is alarming. On a highway at 70 miles per hour with traffic behind you, that is a genuine emergency. Toyota issued the recall and offered the repair, but vehicles that went unrepaired stayed in circulation. And some owners reported experiencing symptoms even after the dealership had supposedly completed the fix. That is not a comfortable situation to be in. Beyond the safety recall, the 2019 showed the normal fingerprints of a first-year platform launch. Hesitation under heavy throttle from the new 2.5-liter engine that Toyota had not fully sorted yet. AWD system noise complaints that showed up consistently in early builds and then disappeared almost entirely in 2020 and 2021 production runs, which tells you everything you need to know about when Toyota actually resolved the issue. The 2019 RAV4 is not a dangerous vehicle if the recall has been properly completed and documented. But it is a first-year platform car, and first-year platform cars always carry uncertainty that later production years simply do not. The 2020 is measurably more sorted. The 2021 is better still. Spend your money there. I have looked at reliability data across every generation of the RAV4, and when I first pulled up the numbers on the 2011, I had to check them twice. Not because the problems were unprecedented, but because of how many of them hit in the same model year, and how clearly the data shows the 2011 standing out as worse than both the 2010 before it and the 2012 after it. That is the signature of a production year that went wrong, and the 2011 is the worst example of it in the RAV4's history. Start with the engine. The oil consumption problem that first appeared in the V6 back in 2006 was still present in 2011. 5 full years of the same generation. 5 full years of owner complaints, forum posts, and documented repair bills. and Toyota sent the 2011 out the door with the same problem still baked into the V6 configuration. That alone would put this year on the list. But the 2011 did not stop at the engine. Brake system issues started appearing at rates that stood out in owner complaint databases. Premature rotor warping, brake pads wearing down faster than expected service intervals. Owners who had owned previous RAV4S or other Toyota products were caught off guard because this was not normal Toyota brake behavior. It was a production anomaly concentrated in the 2011 model year. And then there was the interior. Seat fabric at the main contact points, the driver's bolster, the thigh support area, began wearing through within 2 to 3 years of normal daily use. On a vehicle that was not inexpensive to buy new, that kind of visible material failure that early is not just cosmetic. It is a signal about the overall standard of production quality that went into that vehicle. RepairPal's data from this period is direct. The 2011 RAV4 averaged higher annual repair costs than both the 2010 and the 2012. It sits below its own siblings in reliability rankings. In a generation that produced some genuinely excellent years, the 2011 is the clear outlier at the bottom. If someone is selling a 2011 RAV4 and the price looks attractive and the mileage looks reasonable and everything on the surface seems fine, I want you to remember this. The problems with the 2011 are not always visible at a glance. They are in the engine, in the transmission behavior, in the brake wear rate, in the seat fabric that looks okay today and starts failing next year. The attractive price on a 2011 is often there for a reason. Keep looking. By 2016, Toyota had been running the third-generation RAV4 for 3 full years. Long enough for the engineers to hear what real owners were complaining about, and long enough to quietly fix it before most buyers even noticed there was a problem. The early infotainment issues from 2013 were corrected. The build quality inconsistencies were tightened up on the production line. The 2.5-liter four-cylinder, which had been criticized as underwhelming when it first replaced the V6, was now properly calibrated and proven. Here is what that means in practice. It is common to find 2016 RAV4S with over 200,000 miles still running their original engine and transmission, with nothing beyond scheduled maintenance ever touching them. No major repairs, no surprise bills, just oil changes and tires. That is what a mature production run looks like, and that is exactly what the 2016 is. If you are shopping used in the $15,000 to $20,000 range right now, a well-maintained 2016 with reasonable mileage is one of the safest decisions you can make in this entire vehicle class. The price is right, the problems are gone, and the miles are still ahead of you. The 2010 sits in one of those rare sweet spots that used car buyers dream about. Old enough that every early production issue had already been identified and corrected. Recent enough that the vehicle still has serious road life left in it. And critically, it sits just 1 year before the 2011, which is the worst RAV4 ever made. The four-cylinder version of the 2010 deserves specific attention. The 2AR FE engine that Toyota put in this configuration is not just good, it is one of the most reliable four-cylinder engines ever mass-produced. It is the kind of engine that mechanics see come into their shop at 220,000 miles and turn to each other and say, "This thing is barely broken in." Owners who track their maintenance have documented it regularly hitting 250,000 miles with no internal work done whatsoever. What you are actually buying when you buy a well-maintained 2010 RAV4 four-cylinder is a 300,000-mile car at used car prices. That is not a marketing claim. That is the real-world track record of this specific engine in this specific vehicle. Find one with documented service history. Have an independent mechanic inspect it, and you will have a hard time talking yourself out of buying it. If you sat a panel of automotive reliability analysts down and asked them to pick one single model year from the entire third-generation RAV4 lineup as the definitive benchmark, most of them would land on 2017. Not 2015. Not 2016. 2017. Here is why. By 2017, Toyota had applied every mid-cycle refinement the platform was going to get. The suspension tuning was dialed in. The transmission calibration was smooth. The interior materials had been quietly upgraded, and the Toyota Safety Sense driver assistance package, which had been somewhat unstable in its first implementation on earlier trims, had been properly sorted by this point. You get lane departure warning, automatic emergency braking, and adaptive cruise control that actually works reliably, without the software glitches that plagued the early rollout. The 2017 automatic sits at the peak of JD Power dependability scores for its entire generation. That is not a close call. It is the top of the chart. A 2017 RAV4 XLE or higher trim with under 80,000 miles is about as close to a guaranteed long-term investment as the used SUV market has to offer at any price point. If your budget gets you here, stop looking at other years. The 2019 RAV4 was a great-looking car with real problems underneath. Fuel pump recall, AWD noise complaints, first-year platform uncertainty. Toyota spent the next 2 years quietly fixing all of it. And by 2021, the result was a fundamentally different ownership experience. Wearing the same body, the Dynamic Force 2, 5-liter engine that powers the 4th generation, had 2 full years of real-world production behind it by 2021. The recall was resolved, the noise complaints were gone, the platform was proven, and Toyota added something that changes the conversation entirely. The 2021 RAV4 Hybrid produces 219 combined horsepower, which is more than the old V6, and averages around 40 miles per gallon in mixed driving. That is the kind of number that used to belong to small sedans, not mid-size SUVs. And Toyota backs the hybrid battery with a 10-year, 150,000-mile warranty. That warranty is the answer to the one question that stops most people from buying a hybrid. What happens when the battery dies? Toyota just told you. It does not die on your watch. They own that risk, not you. Both the standard 2021 RAV4 and the hybrid sit in the top tier of reliability ratings for the current generation. If your budget reaches 2021, the math becomes very straightforward. Every time I go through the RAV4 data from every angle, ownership costs, long-term reliability ratings, repair frequency, parts availability, resale value, the same year keeps coming out on top. The 2015 Toyota RAV4 is the best version of this vehicle ever made, and I do not think it is particularly close. To understand why, you need to understand what 2015 represented in the production timeline. It was the 3rd year of the 3rd generation. That means all the first-year problems from 2013 had already been corrected. The platform had 2 full years of real-world feedback incorporated into it, and the late-cycle production fatigue that starts to show up in years 4 and 5 had not set in yet. 2015 hit the exact midpoint of a generation at the exact moment. Everything was working right. The 2.5-liter engine was fully proven. The AWD system showed no meaningful complaint pattern in any owner database I have looked at. Brake wear came in at normal expected intervals. Interior materials held up without the premature wear issues that plagued the early 2013 and 2014 builds. Go into any RAV4 owner forum and search for 2015. What you find is not people asking for help diagnosing problems. What you find is people posting odometer photos. 180,000 miles, 210,000 miles, 240,000 miles. Original engine, original transmission, oil changes, tires, brakes. That is the entire repair history. For a vehicle people drove every day for a decade. There is one more thing the dealers will never volunteer. Independent mechanics charge significantly less to work on a 2015 RAV4 than on any newer generation. The parts are everywhere. The repair procedures are straightforward. Every independent shop in the country has worked on enough of them that nothing surprises them. That translates directly into lower labor bills every time the car needs attention. If you are buying one RAV4 to own and drive for the next 10 years, the 2015 is the answer. The data has been pointing at it for years. Now you know why.